What's up guys, welcome back to the Crest of Courage card game channel. Today I've got a new updated list for BT14/EX5 for my Wargreymon deck profile, so without further ado, let's get right to it. So starting off with the eggs, I'm still just running the plus 1000 Koromon. The new BT14 Koromon is really good for drawing more cards. I just kind of like having that extra 1000 when I need it, but I think there's not really a wrong choice with Koromon eggs right now between this one, the BT14 one that draws you one anytime they lose a security, and also the BT5 one, I believe, that lets you draw one whenever you're attacking with a Greymon. They're all great options. You know, it's really just personal preference, and I just like having the plus 1000. All right, but as for our level 3 rookies, we have pretty much the standard setup here. You know, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. This is pretty much the best setup for any Greymon deck. We got the brand new BT14 Agumon, 4 copies of it, of course. It digivolves for 0 on any Koromon. Start of your main phase, if you have a Tamer with Tamer in its name, you may digivolve this into a Greymon in your hand without paying the cost. That's nice if you can pull it off. And otherwise, if this Digimon is Greymon or Omnimon in its name, it gets plus 2000 DP. So this is just a straight upgrade to the old promo that we used to use all the time for the plus 2000 DP, because it actually has some really great effects to digivolve for free. Then of course, this is our main searcher Agumon, who can still digivolve for 0 on any Koromon, but on play, search the top 4 for any card with Greymon or Omnimon in its name and 1 Tamer. Add them to your hand, bottom deck the rest, so really good search power, and plus 1000 DP if you have Greymon or Omnimon all turns, which is really great. So if you need to set up a blocker, then you have that plus 1000 on your opponent's turn as well. And still makes it good to digivolve because you still get, you know, some more extra DP if necessary. Otherwise, you do still want to play it out because it is such a good searcher. Then, of course, we have 4 Agumon X Antibody, who, again, on play or when digivolving, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add a Greymon or Omnimon, and 1 X Antibody among them to your hand, bottom deck the rest, and can digivolve for 0 on an Agumon. So, of course, you can either digivolve this in raising if you have to, but ideally you're either hard playing it or digivolving it on top of your other searcher Agumon to get even more searches, because you draw 1 for digivolve, then you get to search another 3. So really, really strong searching power there, and a lot of DP boosts. So obviously they're the best Agumons in the game. There's just not really much else to say about them. So moving right along to our level 4 Greymons here. Of course, we got 4 copies of the starter deck Greymon. You just want to see it for that security plus 1 inheritable. You love to see it. It's the main one you want to be digivolving and raising to get that perfect stack to go for those OTK plays. And otherwise, we have 2 copies of the BT5 Greymon that, when digivolving, if there's an Agumon and its Digivolution cards, gain 1 memory. So that's really great for just a cheaper Digivolution. And what's really awesome is it combos well with the new BT14 Agumon that has that start of main phase effect to, if you already have a tie-out, digivolve it into a Greymon without paying the cost. So you can digivolve into this Greymon and then gain a memory for digivolving. So even if they pass you over to 1, then you can actually get yourself up to 2 or 3 or whatever. Actually gaining some memory from the Digivolution is nuts. And then just the inheritable, if this has Greymon in its name, plus 2000 DP, that's pretty great. So you get some really high DP Digimon by the end of it. And then, of course, we have 3 copies of the regular BT9 Greymon X Antibody. Digivolves for 0 on a Greymon, and has the great inheritable effect that when this Digimon has Greymon or Omnimon in its name and would be deleted or returned to the hand or deck, you may trash 2 cards with the same level in this Digimon's Digivolution cards to prevent it from leaving play. So it just gives us a really good protection effect, but also just digivolving on the Greymons, you know, drawing more cards, getting through our deck quicker, always good. And of course, 1 copy, because it's limited to 1, of the BT11 Greymon X Antibody, because also digivolves for 0 on a Greymon, but has your turn. When this Digimon would digivolve into a card with Greymon in its name, you may reduce the cost for each of that card's colors. So it's of course really strong with the BT12 Metal Greymon, because it has black and red, so you just get to digivolve it for 1 cost, because it digivolves for 3 on anything with Greymon in name that's level 4. But then it also has an inheritable effect when this Digimon has Greymon or Omnimon in its name and would be deleted or returned to the hand or deck by an effect by placing 1 X Antibody from this Digimon's Digivolution cards at the bottom of its owner's deck. You prevent this Digimon from leaving play, so it's just another form of protection. So yeah, I'd say there's nothing too crazy about this lineup. I really like this a lot, though. It's been working well for me. All right, now for the level 5s, I do get a little experimental here for sure. I'm playing one copy of the new starter deck, Metal Greymon. So he can Digivolve on any level 4 with Greymon in his name for 3 cost, which is great because they're not always going to be black. Most of them are red. But yeah, he has blocker just naturally, which can be nice. But mainly I play him for the security attack +1. This is just really nice to have if I'm building a stack and I can't seem to get, the starter deck Greymon to get the security +1. Sometimes I can still draw into this and still get that security +1. So I can still kind of meet those security thresholds that I want to see later on. But it does suck to see this thing come up when we play an offense training because it's all black and we can't take it because it's not red at all. But it's still kind of a nice one of, I think. And we still have 3 copies of the Metal Greymon from BT12, who has, of course, the same Digivolve 3 from any level 4 with Greymon in its name. Raid, so you can attack into their highest DP unsuspended Digimon. And then it has all turns once per turn. When an attack target is switched, you may play 1 black or red Tamer with a play cost of 4 or less from your hand without paying the cost. So really good to, either have this guy out as a blocker and block. He can get blocker from the black tie, and then it's all turns, so you can play out like another tie or something. It's really cool if you block something. Or, you just raid into something and you get to play a free tie also. It's pretty great. And then, of course, the inheritable that when this Digimon has Greymon or Omnimon in its name, it gains piercing. You love to see that. That is the main inheritable we do want to see. But now that we also have a Wargreymon that gains piercing himself when Digivolving, that's why I've decided to kind of experiment with this one for the extra security check. And, it does help out sometimes, so it's not bad. But also, we have 1 copy of the Metal Greymon Alteris mode. He can also Digivolve for 0 on any Metal Greymon, just like an X antibody. So he can kind of help, you get out your Metal Greymon, you can Digivolve him into this, then Digivolve him to Metal Greymon X, and it helps kind of dig through our deck a little bit more to hopefully see, the cards that we want to see. But also he has the effect that he's always treated as Metal Greymon, so that is what allows you to then put Metal Greymon X on top of him. And when Digivolving, if you have a Tamer in play, you can delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 5,000 DP or less, so a little bit of deletion is always nice. But then he has the same inheritable effect as our all-red Greymon X antibody, so that you can trash 2 same-level sources to prevent it from leaving play from an effect. So it's nice to also have another version of that in case you need to trash like both of your level 4s or something. You still have that there. Or maybe if you have the black and red version, that way you have 2 different ways of preventing it from leaving play. It's just really nice to have. And then another 3 copies of Metal Greymon X Antibody. This is really one of the main combo cards here because you want to be able to build up to a Metal Greymon in raising. You want to be able to come out, basically just Digivolve into this guy for 0, because when Digivolving, it gains security attack +1, and if you have Metal Greymon or X Antibody in its Digivolution cards, it also gains +3,000 DP until the end of your opponent's turn, which is really nice. So you want to be able to Digivolve this on your Metal Greymon for 0, and then go straight into your Wargreymon while you have the security +1 and +3,000 DP from this guy, and then go into your OTK swings. So this is my current level 5 lineup. I'm liking it pretty well so far. But on to our level 6s. All right, for our level 6s and 7s, we have 2 copies of the BT12 Wargreymon. This one is really great at, more control if you need it. So it does have the ability to Digivolve for 3 on anything with Metal Greymon in name, so better than the 4 there. But it has Raid, of course, so we can swing into the highest DP unsuspended Digimon. And when Digivolving, until the end of your opponent's turn, this Digimon gets +3,000 DP and reboot. So it helps to really just, attack over the strong Digimon and reboot to hopefully have a blocker up, on your opponent's turn if need be. But also all turns once per turn when an attack target is switched, unsuspend this Digimon. That makes it really great to raid into something. If you have the piercing inheritable, you can pierce through for, 1, 2, 3 checks, whatever, and then unsuspend, attack again, for the rest of the checks, hopefully. And if you don't manage to wipe him out that turn, he can reboot and potentially have blocker from our tie, and he can block twice because, he can, when it's switched, you just unsuspend. So he's really, really great, obviously. Then we have 2 copies of the new BT14 Wargreymon, who can Digivolve on any level 5 with the Greymon for 4 costs, which, he also Digivolves on a red for 4. But it is nice he can still Digivolve on our black Metal Greymon. But then his effect here says, while you have a Tamer with Taikamiya in its name and your opponent has a Digimon with 10,000 DP or more, One of your Agumon may Digivolve into this card in your hand for a Digivolution cost of 4, ignoring the Digivolution requirements. So you can just warp straight into this if you're kind of losing a little bit, which is really nice. Then he also has, when Digivolving, this Digimon gates Raid for the turn, then it may attack. So just note that while that does work kind of like a pseudo blitz that lets you continue to attack even if memory goes past to your opponent's side, it doesn't give you rush, so you still can't attack if you just played that Agumon. You can't just warp straight into this Wargreymon and swing. It unfortunately does not quite work that way. But he does also have, when attacking, if you have a Tamer, this Digimon gains Security Attack +1 and Piercing for the turn. So, you know, very nice to get those extra security checks and the piercing if you're missing that inheritable. He's very, very strong. I like him a lot. And then, of course, 2 copies of Wargreymon X Antibody. Digivolves for 1 on a Wargreymon. All turns, when a card is removed from your opponent's security stack, gain 1 memory. And end of attack once per turn, if Wargreymon or X Antibodies in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with DP less than or equal to this Digimon. So, again, kind of helps to control the board and helps to keep turn is the big thing. I do really like to go into the BT14 Wargreymon, and if I have X Antibody under him, you know, he attacks, he gets the +1 security and piercing, and if you have a Tamer, assuming you do, then you just use the when attacking effect from X Antibody to Digivolve into this guy, so he can still pierce through something, check a bunch of security, gain a bunch of memory back for checking all that security, and then end of attack delete something else. So you can delete 2 things, check a bunch of security, and hopefully push the memory gauge back to your side. And if you can manage that, then you can just drop a Blitz Omni for game usually. And of course, we're playing 2 Blitz Omnimons now. He's just so good. When Digivolving, Blitz and unsuspend this Digimon. And of course, he also has an effect to protect himself. But if you're playing this card, it's game over. You don't really need to have that extra protection because you're only going to be Digivolving into him to swing for game, because he's going to unsuspend and blitz for game. So you'd really want to see that too. It does come up a lot, so that's why I want to play 2 of them. So far this has been working out really well for me, and that'll do it for the Digimon. Onto the Tamers. All right, so first of all, we're playing 3 copies of the BT12 Taikamiya, who just has a play cost of 3, and start of your main phase or on play, one of your Digimon with Agumon or Greymon in its name gets +1000 DP and blocker until the end of your opponent's turn. So that's why I was talking about earlier how this guy can give us blocker, and +1000 is nice. And he also has once per turn, when one of your Digimon digivolves into a Greymon or Omnimon in its name, by suspending this Tamer, gain 1 memory. So we can, you know, it's really nice to actually have multiples of this guy out to be able to gain a bunch of memory whenever you digivolve, or give multiple things the +1000 in blocker is also really good. Then 2 of our old BT1 memory setter tie. So of course, if you have 2 memory, set it to 3. But then he also has your turn, all of your red Digimon with 4 or more Digivolution cards gain security attack +1. So just helps us get that extra +1 security check to OTK our opponents. And then we also have 2 Cool Boys, who I still love Cool Boy. I still think he's pretty good for the deck. Only a 2 cost to play. And then on play, he searches the top 3 cards of your deck for anything with X Antibody in its traits and an X Antibody option. And then your turn, when one of your Digimon digivolves into a same level Digimon with X Antibody in his traits, you can suspend him to gain a memory and draw a card. So he just gets so much value, you know, only being 2 costs to play. He gets you a search right away. And then, you know, every turn after that, he can potentially be gaining you a memory and drawing you a card. So he really just pays for himself right away, I feel like, and I still just think he's such a good Tamer for the deck. But if you were going to cut any Tamers, it would have to be Cool Boy. These 2 are just essential to the deck. I just like him personally for everything that he brings. So if you wanted to make any adjustments, the first thing I would probably recommend taking out would probably be Cool Boy, just because you really just can't lose the ties. But I still like him, and all these Tamers work well for me. Last but not least, the option cards, of course, playing 2 X Antibody, because you got to play it, you know, you can search it with Agumon X or with Cool Boy. If it pops up in security, you know, you get to gain a memory and add it to your hand. I actually love that. It's funny when that happens. A lot of times it can just end somebody's turn. But of course, it's just here mainly to activate some of our X Antibody effects and get that when attacking to digivolve into an X Antibody. So good. It really comes in handy. a lot, especially for, going into the Wargreymon X to, just gain a bunch of memory back and hopefully keep turn. That's really the main thing I like it for. Then, of course, offense training. So, of course, offense training, all the trainings are so incredibly good right now. For just 2 costs, you can search the top 2 cards of your deck, add 1 red card among them to your hand, return the rest to the bottom, and then put this in your battle area for its delay effect so that you can trash it to digivolve one of your Digimon into a red Digimon card and reduce the cost by 2 when you do that. So, of course, basically just pays for itself on the next turn to get a cheaper Digivolution, and it just digs through your deck that much faster. So you gotta play it. It's super good. Honestly, I would like to play more. If I was gonna play more, like if you guys wanted to play like 4 of these, I would probably cut the Cool Boys, if I'm being honest. I really like the Cool Boys. But if you want to see this card more, that's probably the next logical thing to cut. Or maybe 1 X Antibody, because it's not super important, but I do like to see 2 of it. However, last but not least, I am playing 1 copy of Crimson Blaze, and sometimes I want to up this to 2 also. So maybe you could cut both Cool Boys to add 1 more Crimson Blaze and 1 more training. That's a pretty decent option as well. But yeah, this thing is just amazing right now. So it's 6 costs, but you can reduce the memory cost of this card in your hand by 1 for each Digimon your opponent has in play. So if you're, going against some of those swarm decks, this thing can be really cheap. You can play it for like 2 or 3. And then it just has the effect that your opponent can't play Digimon by effects until the end of their turn, and then you delete all of your opponent's Digimon with 6,000 DP or less. So you just clear the board and stop them from playing Digimon by effects. And there's a lot of things that do that right now, so it's a really strong card to have. And honestly, one of the main weaknesses of this deck is just getting overwhelmed by pure numbers. Like if you can't stop your opponent from playing a million things out, we're just going to have 1 big Wargreymon stack, and he's not going to be able to delete all of those little dudes. So this is just a great option to be able to kind of keep your opponent in check. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this deck profile. I love Wargreymon. It's one of my favorite decks ever. It's one of my favorite Digimon ever, if that's not obvious already. But yeah, I highly recommend checking it out. If you haven't already, then, Greymon is one of the best decks in the game, and always will be, I think, because it's such a popular Digimon, and we get new cards all the time, which I love. I'm a huge fan of that, because like I said, one of my favorite Digimon. But anyway, let me know your thoughts and opinions about that in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to smash the like button, because it does help me out a lot, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos. But that's going to do it for this one, you guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.